I'm done with the 2 to 3 hour films. I just cannot take it anymore. I can't take it. I just got back from South by Southwest last week. I didn't see as many movies as I wanted to, but I think there are a lot of patterns that emerged from the screenings I did go to. I took a lot of notes in my little handy dandy little notebook that I brought with me to South by. The first thing I saw was Margo's Got Money Troubles. It's a show coming out on Apple TV in April, and it stars Elle Fanning. The first thing I wrote in my notebook was that it was messy, hilarious, and bingeable. We saw 3 episodes in that screening, so my takeaway was kind of that it's real, it's raw, it's emotional, raunchy humor.
You know, for me, it's kind of a gift to get to play someone like Margo. I actually, throughout filming and what, you know, David and Eva created and all of us together, it's like I found, you know, you watch Margo grow. You know, she has this kind of naivete a bit, and then at every turn you think she's going to go right, but then she chooses left, and it's kind of the harder pathway. But through that, she has this bravery and courage and optimism, and I think for me, I loved getting to play a character who had that spirit.
I think one pattern I noticed with movies at South by is that nothing was really that polished. Everything was really raw and really real. And then, of course, I Love Boosters. It was just incredible. And Boots Riley came out before the show, and he called it his best work. And I think that says a lot.
I think it's my best work, and I'm excited to see, to just see you see it.
It's a very striking film in terms of audio, visually. The script is great. Another thing that came up was a lot of dark humor, like either a dramedy or a lot of like gallows humor. So things that are really funny but with a darker undercurrent. It was hilarious, but there was definitely something deeper going on because Boots Riley's work a lot of the time is very much social commentaries. So I thought, although the colors and the visuals were gorgeous, I mean, that was one of my notes, was like beautiful visuals. It's just very saturated. That movie was so impactful, both visually and emotionally. And I think the colors did a lot to represent the impact of the film itself. I saw some amazing cinematography. One of the films I saw was Stormbound, which was incredible. It's a documentary about a storm chaser, and it's like truly nothing you've ever seen before. There were no visual effects, no special effects done. It was all real footage. I didn't see it in IMAX, but it screened at the Bullock Theater in Austin, which is the biggest screen in Texas. That one's a dual laser IMAX, so that must have been incredible, and I'm really sad that I missed it. But even seeing it at the Alamo Lamar was just beautiful. I saw Normal, which is that movie with Bob Odenkirk. It was on 35mm film. The guy who introduced the movie said it was actually the first 35mm like film screening at South by in about a decade. There was some part of the movie where the screen went black and it went back to the countdown, and that was just for a few seconds, but Bob joked about it later.
Did you guys like it when you saw the 2, 3, 2, 1? I loved it. I thought that was great. I'm glad that happened.
What I wrote was like the joys of physical film, you know? Hiccups happen. But for that one as well, the cinematography and the color grading really stood out. There were a lot of aerial shots. It also had a really great balance of kind of comedy and, you know, like dark humor.
My ideas end when the action really gets going, because I do help with a little bit with the choreography of the fights, but I'm from comedy, so I didn't study action my whole life like these guys did. So there comes a point where I let go.
Something I love that Ben Wheatley, the director of Normal, said when he came out to introduce the film before the screening is he said it was a tight 90.
It's a tight 90, so for you out there with small bladders, fear not. As it should be, you should never make a film longer than that you can hold your piss for.
That was the perfect amount of time for a film. I'm done with the 2 to 3 hour films. I just cannot take it anymore. I can't take it. A tight 90. Poetic License is Maud Apatow's directorial debut. I thought that was great. It was a very endearing script. It was around 2 hours. I do think it was a little bit too long. I did see the screening like at 11 p.m. at night, so that probably made it a little bit more tedious for me. There were also a lot of horror films. The general trend I saw with the movies at South by and the shows at South by is that there was a lot of like realism, a lot of messiness, a lot of real life kind of trends being pulled into it. So it's not as much idealism, not as much aspirational, but more social commentary, more about taking down the elite type of thing, fighting the bad guys, which I know is a trope that's always been there, but I think it definitely reflects our society at the moment. The dark humor, it's kind of like these days, like if you don't laugh, you'll cry kind of thing. So I definitely saw that reflected in the films that were shown. I highly, highly recommend seeing Normal when it comes out in theaters. I also loved Margo's Got Money Troubles. I love Boosters. Poetic License is a toss-up for me, but those three were definitely my top. And just a final note, so I think we're going a lot toward movies and things that feel less perfect. That trend has become a thing in the past, even with a show like Succession, for example. It was always focused on more realistic endings and not as much of a fairy tale. That's something that has been changing over the years and something I've actually complained about before, because I get it in prestige shows you don't want to have a lot of tropes, but I do kind of miss a little bit of those like fairy tale endings or just the happy endings, which I think we do get in a few of these movies. All of these films and shows lately veer a little bit more toward realism and toward like the emotional discombobulation of society right now. That's my overview of some of the films and shows that I saw at South by Southwest in Austin, Texas. Check out my YouTube shorts if you haven't seen them. I have all the clips of the actors and director interviews that they did on the stage after the screening. So that's a good way to catch up on their own thoughts. But I will link those shorts in the description below. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. See you later.